section is called Mother. The second section is called The Men. The third section, to me, is the most important section in the book, and it has the most stories. It's the section called Holly Golightly. As Terry told you, Holly was what she sarcastically called the closest thing to a sister. Holly was my heart. She and I became a team at UCLA doing animal-assisted therapy and working with patients in neuropsychiatrics. She was a great therapy dog. She was also my therapist. And I learned a lot of things in that experience. The director of the People-Animal Connection program, Kathy Cole, Casey, was inspired to bring animals into the UCLA Medical Center, and in 1994 established the People-Animal Connection program. No dogs had been allowed in the hospital until then. I don't know if Casey is here. I can't see out there. But if she is, I'm honored to have you.
I'm honored to be here, Marian.
It was Casey's dream that bringing animals into the hospital would help to heal her cardiac patients. Casey is a veteran nurse in cardio care. And she was right, bringing animals into the hospital did help heal her patients. And she did a study to prove it, a scientific study that took her 4 or 5 years and was published by the American Heart Association, showing the difference in recovery rate between those patients, those cardiac patients, who had an animal visit and those patients who didn't. Statistically significantly different results, showing that yes, she was right, and we who know animals and live with them know they make a difference. They are healers. So I'll read a short piece dedicated to Casey, showing the work that she made possible for me to do at UCLA Neuropsychiatrics. The piece is called Keppel. Ruth, you have a special visitor. The patient was propped up in a wheelchair with pillows under her head and appeared to be sleeping. Sarah, the occupational therapist, tried to rouse her, but Ruth didn't open her eyes or respond to the gentle nudge on her arm. Holly and I stood in the doorway of a private hospital room in neuropsychiatrics. We were there in response to a request by the woman's family for a dog visit, but there was no movement or response from this patient. In most cases, the patients requested the pet visit and greeted us warmly with warm smiles. Some said they'd been waiting all day to meet Holly. This was different. Sarah tried again. Ruth, there's a beautiful golden retriever here to visit you. Still no movement in the chair. I waited in the doorway with Holly, standing at my side, and wondered how in the world my dog could make a connection with a non-responsive person. Ruth's eyes did not open, and she seemed unaware that we were there. I was told by the psychiatric nurse that she was catatonic, a mental disorder involving immobility and rigidity. She had remained in the same position for several days, not moving or speaking. She was fed through a tube. 3 family members, 2 women and a man, were gathered around the frozen patient. The 2 women spoke what sounded like Yiddish. I was surprised to notice that Ruth was young, probably in her 30s. I had expected to see an older woman in this condition, although it was not an age-related disorder. Someone had dressed her and combed her long dark hair, pulling it back on each side with barrettes. She used to be pretty, I thought. Her face showed no expression now, and she looked as if she had died. How can we do anything, I thought. Neither Holly or I had the skills to awaken the dead. The nurse motioned for us to enter the room, and Holly moved immediately to greet the adults standing around as if they were the recipients of this visit. The family petted and fussed over her as I worried about what to do next. I told them that Holly was a Zeeskind, a sweet child. My mother called me Zeeskind when I was very little and when she liked me. I knew 3 or 4 Yiddish words, and these were 2 of them. The other word I knew was keppel, an affectionate form of kop, meaning head. My mother sometimes said I had a keppela, a nice little head. I had once taught Holly keppel as an invitation to put her head in my lap. I would point to my lap and say keppel, and she would lay her head there. Out of desperation and not knowing how else to make this happen, I said, Holly keppel, while I lightly tapped the woman's knees with my hand. My dog approached the lifeless woman and put her golden head on a still lap. It'll always make me cry. It never changes. The family was impressed that Holly understood Yiddish. But there was no response from the woman in the chair. Holly stayed with her, not moving, waiting to be acknowledged. She seemed to know someone was in that shell of a body. She would simply wait, as she had learned to do with the Alzheimer's patients. Wait, as she had learned to do when she wanted me to open doors for her. She knew how to wait. We all saw it. Ruth slowly moved her hands to touch what she felt in her lap. With her eyes closed, she reached out to explore Holly's head as her astonished family looked on. With both of her hands, she ran her fingertips over the dog's face. She felt the eyelids and eyelashes, then the high forehead, and the smooth top of the oval head. Holly sat still, not moving or flinching, just allowing herself to be felt and known. Everyone in the room seemed to stop breathing and stood in silence. The inquisitive hands slid down to caress the velvety ears and the thick, furry neck. The movements were those of a blind person, seeing with her hands. The family took a needed breath and gasped aloud, almost in unison. I looked at Sarah across the room. She was starting to tear up. Holly moved away when the petting stopped. I led her back so she could do it again. I repeated, keppel, and she knew what to do. The quiet hand reached down once again and stroked the head lying on her legs. The family members sighed and spoke Yiddish to each other. I heard the word keppel. The catatonic patient never spoke or opened her eyes, but she clearly felt the dog's presence. The therapist explained that this was the first time the woman had responded to anyone since she'd been there. She was moving, touching, and interacting with the dog. There was life. When we left the room, each member of the family thanked me with tears in their eyes and caressed Holly's face, calling her Zie's Hint, sweet dog in Yiddish. The older woman, probably the mother, kissed my hands. I was crying too. These are the moments. Animals can be the source of our connection to each other. The healing energy in that room affected every one of us. Holly and I returned to the day room where I sat on the sofa with my dog lying at my feet while I wrote my commentary in the pack log. Sarah and I reviewed what had just happened. She was still in shock. 1 week later, when we were in the unit for our weekly visit, I asked about Ruth. Oh, she went home a few days ago, Sarah told me. She's okay now. I guess I used the right word. I'm not sure I can read this excerpt from Final Gift. I'm going to try. Maybe somebody will have to finish it for me. This is a hard one. The Final Gift of Love. Okay, I will help you. I will keep my word. No crying, no sympathy, no pity. I must act normal. It's just another day. Another trip in the car to see Dr. Farber. I look in the mirror at my blank face, eyes puffy without sleep. without makeup and put on some cologne. I'll smell normal to her when we go out. It's just another day. My calm demeanor assures Holly that she is safe, that nothing terrible is going to happen. I am providing normalcy for her, though it is not what I feel. Inside my body, there is seething hot pain. There will be time to breathe, to scream and pound my chest and pull my hair, but not now. All of the years of struggle, of loss, of feeling unloved, of living in fear of loss, have brought me to this moment. Today, I am offering my beloved Holly-Go-Lightly my final gift of love, a peaceful death without terror or trauma or hysteria. It's the least I can do. Just another day, nothing to be afraid of or anxious about. Holly hops on her back legs while I pull up on the sweatshirt wrapped around her middle. She stops to greet the staff as she passes them in the hallway. Laura, a vet tech, looks into my smiling face over her glasses and glances at the golden retriever she knows so well. I tell her quietly, today's the day, and that's all I say. I am not crying. I don't want Holly to think something terrible is going to happen to her. We are simply here, as we have been many times, but the staff has been alerted, and they all know. They stop to pet her. I smile and say hello to each one. Laura tells me days later that she has never seen anyone bring in their beloved pet for euthanasia with the calmness and normalcy that she witnessed that day. She remembered that I had only said, today's the day. She remembered that I had smiled and said hello to everyone. And she tells me she was stunned. She says, people come in clutching their dogs or cats in their arms, crying hysterically. I tell her, I could never do that to Holly. I didn't feel brave, just determined that she not be stressed or afraid. It's the least I could do for her. I knew about fear. I also knew about love. I would give Holly the love I always needed and craved, my final gift, my finest moment. October 24th, 2002, outgoing voicemail message. To my friends calling to inquire about Holly, today I made the agonizing decision to give Holly my final gift of love by allowing her gentle spirit to leave her beautiful golden body and continue the journey of healing for which she was sent to us. She had a beautiful death, assisted by her beloved Dr. Farber, with all the courage, dignity, and style with which she lived, surrounded by love and gratitude, with bliss. She died in his hands. She sends you all her steadfast, unshakable love with reminders that all we have is love. Love is all there is. Your messages are appreciated.